Hey guys, so finally we got a cooking review of the Lancaster number 8 cast iron skillet. And so when I first, opened it and when I unboxed it, I did notice it was very light on the preseason. They do season their cast iron before they ship, but I did notice it was a little light on the seasoning. So for me, it was like a perfect opportunity to do my own seasoning on this because I usually, with cast iron, if it's already seasoned, I just go with it and see, how it works. And I don't do anything special in the beginning. I don't season or anything like that, and I usually just cook. But with this one, like I said, I noticed that their seasoning is a little light. It's almost like a shipping, like they just, so it won't rust or anything like that. That's what the seasoning reminds me of. Very thin, very light, almost like a good starter for your own seasoning, which is great. I know a lot of people want to do their own, and a lot of people that use cast iron prefer to do their own seasoning. So nothing wrong with that. The only downside would be if you're new to cast iron, you would probably not want to cook with this right away, and you would probably not want to cook with it without doing your own seasoning. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but actually it's there, everything has their pros and cons. So I feel like if you want to buy this skillet, and because of the weight, it's a very lightweight. This would be a great skillet for beginners and people that are already familiar with cast iron. So um, what I noticed is if you are a beginner in cast iron and you don't know much about seasoning, this is going to be a great beginner skillet. Especially because, like I said, you when you get this, it has a good starter seasoning on it. So just dabbing a little bit of oil, your preference, whatever you like to use, and then throwing it in the oven, or whatever your methods are. You can do stovetop, oven, whatever you like. But for me, I did 2 or 3 rounds of seasoning. I did canola oil, and it did great. It accepts seasoning so well. So I was surprised, and happy for that. The other thing that I noticed about this skillet is that obviously, like I mentioned, lightweight. Um, and this probably has to be the lightest 10-inch skillet. I think it's a 10.5 or 10 1/4, not sure, but it's the same size as a Griswold number 8. Um, and for the size, it's probably, like I said, the lightest skillet in this size. And so I grabbed my Griswold because I have a number 8, and I just to compare, I put it upside down on top of this one, and it matches up. Everything, circumference, pour spouts, handle. It's the depth and everything. It's almost identical. It's almost like Lancaster took a Griswold and did a mold of that. Obviously they didn't, but it's very similar. So if you guys are into vintage cast iron and you guys have been on the fence about purchasing new modern cast iron because you prefer the older vintage, this is a good breath of fresh air from what is on the market right now. I'm not saying that Smithy or Finex, Field, um, Stargazer, or Butter Pat, or any of those other cast iron companies are bad. No, those cast iron skillets I own most of those cast iron skillets, and I love them. But this one is almost like a good throwback to vintage cast iron. For those who are into vintage cast iron, this is probably something you should look into. Like I said, very lightweight. The cooking surface has been CNC, machined on the bottom. But I did notice, I mean, it's obviously CNC machined on the sidewalls and the pour spouts, but I did notice that the sidewalls, you don't see the grooves from the machining process. So on the sidewalls, it's almost like they sanded down the sidewalls either by hand or by machine, or something light, obviously. But you see it on the pour spouts and you see it on the sidewalls, and you might think, oh, it's not going to hold seasoning. Well, it does. It actually, like I mentioned, it blew me away how well it actually holds seasoning. So it's everything about this is actually, from everything that I've done and experienced with this cast iron skillet, has absolutely impressed me. So like I said, if you guys are looking into something that is somewhat like a vintage Griswold, a Wagner, what is it, a BNR, I think, or something similar to that, or vintage Lodge, this is actually a great pan for that. Like I said, very similar dimensions in every aspect, even the handle, almost the same size as the Griswold. I think this one's a tiny little bit bigger, but either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys, and the food turned out great. You can see here. So I hope you guys, if you guys are looking into Lancaster, I totally recommend it. Very great skillet. But I'll do some more reviews. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please, let me know. I appreciate your guys' time, and I will see you on the next one.